What's happening, everybody? Big time Watchmen episode to talk about. Episode 7, the definition of what the hell is happening. I think this is the one. Holy fucking shit.
Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff, a lot of questions we had, a lot of explanations, and even more questions raised than ever before. I think my brain exploded.
It was for me. And like, I watched Thrones. I'm not a huge Game of Thrones fan, but I watched all Thrones, like whatever. A lot of shocking things in Thrones. There's a couple other TV shows. That's the one that comes to mind the most, where people like videotape their reactions to the Red Wedding and shit. I'm not trying to like diminish what they did, but this one, the tension and buildup throughout the episode to when, we'll talk about when it clicked for you. You're just like, oh, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. I was in shock with this episode. Yeah. I'm giving everyone here like 30 seconds of just know that of all recaps we've done, leave if you haven't seen the episode, because this will spoil everything.
You don't want this one spoiled.
Well, let's get into it, because okay, I'll give another padding. Like the episode. Good.
Oh yeah, I love the episode.
Absolutely.
I watched the episode. I talked to you guys about it at like 2:30 a.m. last night. Like I started it then, and I started it being like, man, I hope I could stay awake through the entire thing. And I had no issue staying awake through the entire thing.
Riveted.
The tension I felt, my fucking heart was racing the whole episode.
I know. Yeah. It really was.
Because right away, and we'll get into Easter eggs. Right away, the first thing you see is it's our first real firm Dr. Manhattan reference. So right off the bat, you already know, you're like, we're going to get something answered.
Yes, I knew he was going to be, in some way, the massive part of this episode. He was going to be the missing piece to the puzzle.
Well, the first thing we see him in Vietnam. We see old footage, just documentary of Dr. Manhattan. So we see our first really good look at him
very cool.
in this universe. It was very cool.
I like the overhead shot where they added him in like a Snapchat, like a fucking AI thing.
Yeah.
Like just crushing over that classic Vietnam War shot of like the firebombing or whatever.
Yep.
Yes.
Unreal to see that. So we see him in Vietnam in the documentary. This is like the biggest Easter egg of them all. We get some like the lithium powered products, obviously Manhattan type tech stuff inspired by Dr. Manhattan, how he changed the world. We saw that not even just in the graphic novel, in the movie as well. So watches, cars, all that stuff that comes from Dr. Manhattan. In Vietnam though, it's Vietnam Victory Day, so VVD. They're celebrating that. We see Angela Abar as a child with her parents.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of get more into that storyline. But they're playing a song. They're playing Living in America, because Vietnam, 51st state, which is kind of a funny, cheeky reference. Living in America, too, part of Rocky.
Yes.
A big part of Rocky.
Apollo Creed
that
is,
out to it. But that's very much when Russia and United States are not
getting along
getting along. But in this universe, they are more getting along. And we see some more references of Burgers and Borscht, which is a fast food chain in the graphic novel for Watchmen. We see that here. Angela actually eats at that restaurant with her grandmother, I believe.
Terrible combination, by the way, of foods. Awful. Borscht is gross.
Weird. Yeah, but maybe
Cabbage
it's that
soup.
cookout thing where it's like, they offer you everything.
But that super confirms that this is set after 11/2, because that shows Americans, Russians getting along post 11/2. That's what they're saying.
So 11/2 is 85, right?
I understand.
They're saying
I understand.
that the Angela Abar as a child set after after 11/2, 85, set after the events of the SQUID drop. So I don't know if that changes the course of Rocky. Like, what was Rocky?
Oh, you're right.
What was Rocky 4 like?
Yeah, I have no idea. I do love the soundtrack of this show. The soundtrack, we've mentioned, obviously, the Looking Glass episode, the way they used Careless Whisper and shit. Every song they've used in this show is like, oh my God, that's perfect. And we'll get to the one at the end.
Maybe Rocky and Drago team up to fight a squid in the ring.
Maybe.
Oh, that would be great. A tag team match?
Yep, tag team match.
So cool little reference, Living in America. They're in Saigon, which is now a city. It is a part of a state in the United States.
No longer Ho Chi Minh City, which it is now, I believe, right?
Yeah,
or vice versa?
It's pretty... Again, it was a very... not insanely important, but if you got it, kind of funny that that's a song they used to open up the show. Works out. We'll get more into Angela in Vietnam when we talk about the episode itself. There's a title for the episode is An Almost Religious Awe, which is a complete reference to the graphic novel. There's a point when Dr. Manhattan is talking about Vietnam, talking about the Vietnam War, where he talks about how the Viet Cong are going to surrender, and he says in the graphic novel, often they ask to surrender to me personally, their terror of me balanced by an almost religious awe. And actually
they show that in the movie, too.
The frame from the graphic novel looks very much like the puppet that we see.
Oh, the marionette puppet.
The marionette.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of almost lines up exactly with frame,
which I
appears in the
believe
graphic
they also
novel.
tried to
They did that in the
replicate in the movie.
They did that.
When
They say
he's
the
peering over the people. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like, they all want to surrender to me personally. They show them all bowing down to him as he
Yes.
like lords over them.
Yep. And then the puppet itself, we see the Dr. Manhattan puppet. This one, I didn't know this one. This one didn't click in my head. Credit Den of Geek for this Easter egg. He has the quote, "I'm just a puppet that can see the string." So that's very symbolic. That it's a literal Dr. Manhattan
It was cool
puppet.
to see the festival atmosphere of them like worshiping Dr. Manhattan. It reminded me of the way the planet from Thor
Hulk,
Ragnarok.
Sakaar, yeah.
Yes.
Same exact
The way
thing,
they were
yeah.
worshiping the Hulk and they had the green
Paper
dust
mache
at festivals.
stuff.
Yes.
Oh, it's all green,
of
though,
that
there,
was like
now
the
blue
same.
here, yeah.
Yes.
But
and she was wearing blue. If you noticed that, like obviously her husband drove a blue car. There were a lot of little hints leading up to the big reveal.
she goes into a videotape store, VHS store, which there's the biggest reveal in the VHS we won't get into yet. We'll save that for when we talk about the episode. But there's one movie, Fog Dancing, which is a book by Max Shea in the graphic novel, and Max Shea also wrote Tales from the Black Freighter, which is a comic within Watchmen. Actually, it was a scene in the movie that was a deleted scene. You can see the scene, and you can see like the like cartoon representation in the Ultimate Cut of Watchmen.
Which you recently watched, right?
Which I did. I actually never seen the Ultimate Cut.
What did you think? Was it
I
good?
love the Ultimate Cut.
Cool.
Yeah. Zack Snyder did. I think it was like regrettably cut that from the movie. He didn't want to, but obviously the movie very long. The Ultimate Cut. But we see that Max Shea's character, also the one who helped write the SQUID, come up with the SQUID for Ozymandias, Adrian Veidt. Monsters from Outer Space. There's the quote from the graphic novel where a receptionist at the TV studio, when Dr. Manhattan appears, she said, "They're not paying me enough to handle Monsters from Outer Space." So that's just another just very small reference. And then another movie is Silk Swingers, which is I think someone described it as it's basically a B-movie type Silk Spectre VHS tape. So VHS tape on the Silk Spectre. So there's a couple interesting Easter eggs. There's a couple elephant ones, which we'll get to. Elephants, big part of this episode. Old Watchmen references, not many.
You guys are gonna, by the way, you guys are really gonna need to explain the elephants to me because I don't know what the fuck was going on.
I think I have a reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have an idea
Good.
too.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Old Watchmen, not many references, but Laurie Blake does mention two generations
Very
of
specifically
heroes.
two.
Yes, she mentions two generations of heroes, so that is interesting. Nothing, again, crazy, but she does specifically mention that's like our only reference to, I think, older Watchmen outside of Dr. Manhattan. There's a SQUID painting when we're at the Adrian Veidt trial,
I did notice that.
and that painting is the exact same painting from the graphic novel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in the comic by Hira Manish, I don't know if I said that name right.
Manish. Hira Manish? Manish?
Yeah, Indian
Modal?
cartoonist, artist. He worked on the design of the SQUID for Adrian Veidt. Died when Adrian Veidt kind of killed everyone to cover up what happened. But that's the exact painting from the graphic novel.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Nobody
awesome.
understands Watchmen like Damon Lindelof understands.
Oh yeah, no,
It's kind of
100%.
crazy.
Too much.
And
he gets the universe better than fucking Alan Moore does.
He
at this
does.
point.
He did a Collider interview where he said he knew that Alan Moore was gonna fucking hate this, but he's like,
Of course,
he's
Alan
like,
Moore's a miserable prick. That's what I'm going to say right now. I hate that guy.
But Lindelof just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it in a way that's at least interesting because Lindelof did an interview with Collider where he mentioned that he turned it down for years. He turned this project
They
down.
wanted him to do it?
Yeah, and it got to a point where Warner Brothers and HBO basically weren't asking anymore. They were like, either do it or we're just not going to ask you anymore. And he's like, oh, I may as well fuck. He goes, I don't want to watch someone else do it.
Yeah. I feel like he wanted the least amount of red tape possible. And for him, I think it's worked out well just because he's making it appealing both to like fans of the graphic novel and people who are just like laymen to the franchise, which I don't think we are, but like we're not overly into the
we
actual
all
graphic novel
sort
part.
of fall right in the middle of that, and it works perfect for us.
We're in a
I
gray
like-
area, but people who haven't actually seen it, I think, are loving it too.
I was kind of like beating around the bush, like, I'll pretend to read the graphic novel a little bit and then I'll watch the show and I won't care.
Yeah.
But now I've like really dove into it where I'm like picking up on Easter eggs now. I'm like, yes.
Oh,
like,
when I went back for Thanksgiving, I brought the graphic novel back with me, and I was like, all right, I'm rereading this thing because I have to now.
I picked up on so much more, but there are still some things I've missed. This one, I don't believe in the graphic novel. Sci-Fi got this last Easter egg. We're kind of rushed through this because the story itself is fucking nuts.
Yeah, we gotta get to it.
Sci-Fi, they picked up this Easter egg. Lady True, when she's making her speech with the Millennium Clock Tower, she says, look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. That comes from a poem called Ozymandias, which is where he got his namesake.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Again, makes complete sense. Kind of brilliant there.
I just don't know how Damon Lindelof had the time to think of everything
Throw
he
us
had to
together,
think
yeah.
of to put into this show.
And again, so many of the Easter eggs, and it's funny because we're doing this with Mandalorian too. So it feels like we're saying like it's like the same breath here. they're putting Easter eggs in and they're doing small nods to people who are fans that really don't derail the story.
Yeah.
And that's been such a problem with these connected and shared universes.
It feels like they're checking boxes.
Exactly.
And we bring up Star Wars with one of them. We bring up Rogue One. We bring up Solo, where those were examples of like, okay, you're overloading Easter eggs.
We get it.
You're basically It's basically like pop-up video. You're basically saying Easter egg time.
And it makes the universe feel small. And obviously that's a bigger issue for a universe like Star Wars. But I think it's the same for this. This is an extraterrestrial universe and all that.
It feels seamless, and like the thrill of Easter eggs is a little bit of the hunt. And it's not so hard that we can't find anything, but it's not so easy that we're like, oh fuck, there's Easter egg time. There's Easter egg time.
Yeah.
It's a good balance.
Yep, it is. Let's get into the episode. Angela Abar, pretty much the focal point for this episode. This one is more, though, this one focuses on more people than I think the past episodes, but she is definitely the main character here. We see her parents were killed in Vietnam by a suicide bomber, basically.
A bad suicide bomber. All he wants to do is blow up one Jeep. Like, congrats, man. You did it.
It's an intense scene, though.
It was very intense.
The person who was holding the puppet, the marionette
gave him the bomb,
of Watchmen, gave him the bomb. That's how her parents die. So we kind of get that, again, very quick, tied up that storyline. You're like, where do parents go? Tied it up really quick. Her father says to her, because she goes in the video store, here's the reference in the video store I said we mentioned, picks up a movie, Sister Night.
Yep.
We've mentioned before that Brother Knight was the original name or idea for Hood of Justice, so that all kind of ties together in the end. She brings it to her father. She buys the VHS. Apparently, she's been wanting it for a while because the guy in the VHS store is like, you're just going to bring it back to me and I'm going to have to refund you. And brings it to her father, who we had seen in the previous episode as a kid, growing up with his father, who is Will Reeves.
And the flashbacks, the way they incorporated them here were great because it almost felt like we were coming down from the memories of the last episode, the Will Reeves episode. Like,
and it's funny because
that was really cool.
Some people mentioned too, like that. Oh, that episode was so standalone. Like, did we really need all that? Like, now it's tying in. Like,
we
a lot of that
definitely
reference
did. Yeah,
perfect.
Especially with all the Cyclops stuff. Yes, we
fits in perfectly.
We did need that.
And he says a couple things. He doesn't like the movie because of the mask element.
Yeah,
the idea, because this is a movie that portrays black people as heroes and vigilantes in a positive light, right? Which is kind of why Will Reeves painted his face white, because they weren't viewed that way. And he says people who wear masks are dangerous, obviously because his mother said, don't come near us ever again.
Yeah.
They're hiding something, and it's only pretend until it's real. So very much so, her father against superheroes.
Yeah, doesn't like it.
Yep, so that tees 100%. It up and lines it up pretty quickly there.
Which also makes sense. He's a military guy and all that. With his dad, obviously, too.
I think the grandma says that, too. She said someone in a mask hurt him when he was around your age, actually. And that's kind of the reason he didn't like people in masks.
She identifies the killer of her parents. Pretty brutal scene. She's very, like, stone cold.
Yeah.
Big time, extrajudicially murdered right outside.
The way they throw the bag over his head, and she flashes back to the bag being thrown over Will Reeves' head and all that. Like, whew.
And she basically says,
can I listen?
Yeah, can I listen? Can I listen to him being
scene.
off?
Cool scene.
And at one point, though, she turns around, and behind her is a mural of Dr. Manhattan with like devil horns on it. So, which kind of plays into it. Like the suicide bombing happens because
it was like graffitied onto that mural.
It said murderer right on top of his face.
People, not everyone views him as a hero, which is another theme with this episode that kind of lasts through to the end. She's an orphan. We see her meet her grandmother, so Will Reeves, I guess, ex-wife.
June, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the only part of the episode where the 2-3 a.m. thing worked in with me, because when she met her grandmother, it took me 5 minutes to figure out where the timeline worked. I was like, I thought her grandma was dead. No, her grandma's this person. Is her grandma that person? Is her dad hooded? I was all fucked up. Eventually, I got it down though, and I was like, all right. Now I understand.
Probably too late at the time you figured it out.
Yeah, let's just get the scene over with.
Well, she does die.
She just died immediately.
Heart attack right outside. And,
and there was a little bit of foreshadowing where she was like, I had a heart attack, don't worry about it, it was tiny. But she just died immediately afterwards.
Yeah, they were eating that burger place we mentioned about, which is a Watchmen reference. And it plays again into Angela, who always, even in her answers, when she's talking to Lady True or she's talking to Laurie Blake, very sarcastic and has this aura of like, I'm having a hard time explaining it, where she just isn't fazed by anything. Nothing fucking rattles her because she's seen so many fucking terrible things.
Similar to Laurie, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
They have a lot of similarities there. Yeah.
But we have a fucking air conditioning and heater. Just go. So if you hear noises,
it's so distracting.
Blame the building. Blame all business, Pete.
Just think about it as a ticking noise.
It sounds like there's a little man in the air conditioner just hitting something with a hammer.
One more note.
Speaking of which, we'll talk about that soon too.
One more note on Sister Night. This is PD again. HBO has all these.
We love these.
These extra documents that kind of add layers. PD has a memo about Sister Night. He's been tasked by Agent Blake to figure out more about the alias of Angela Abar. And he says, alas, watching Sister Night isn't yet an option for the 21st century entertainment consumer. It's an oldie and an obscure one, too. According to the proprietor of Tulsa's only Mondo Video, it might be years before Hollywood re-releases the cult stuff. So, again,
out of print.
Part of like the coming down on tech and entertainment and stuff after the Squid attack. This is part of it.
Yeah. Anything that glorifies, I'm sure, vigilantes, they're like, nope, you're out.
This is a longer article, but the only other one big note is one final note. As I wrote this memo, I found myself having a hunch. I placed a call to a certain movie theater in New York, the one that employed Will Reeves back in 1975, where the executors of Nelson Gardner's estate presented Mr. Reeves with Gardner's will. That was Captain Metropolis. It turns out Mr. Reeves bought the theater 1 year later, and he's been showing Sister Night every Sunday at midnight since 2017. The same year Detective Abar decided to put on the mask of her childhood hero to fight crime.
I mean,
so he's been on the tail
Reeves,
for a while.
That's a little much. Every single Sunday at midnight, nobody was like, "That's fucking weird."
make much
bad
money
business,
doing
man.
that. Yeah, Is there
Awful
one
business,
person
man.
in the theater every week, if that.
So yeah, that's the kind of beginning of it. And then the big thing with Angela is present day. She is in Lady Trieu's facility. She's hooked up to a living being. Very skeptical of what's going on.
Yeah, and they tell her it's Will Reeves, and she can't see him yet
yeah.
because she won't know if it's her or him because the whole memory thing.
She guesses it's Will Reeves. They say you're getting cerebral fluid from a living host, and it's helping wipe away all the nostalgia in your system. And she goes, "Is it my grandfather?" And she's like, Lady Trieu just does it like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lady Trieu's very quiet about things.
The way Lady Trieu communicates is like the name of our show. Like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah,
What's
it's
going
smart.
on? Until the end where she's like, all right, let's stop fucking around.
she's like,
exactly.
At that point, I was like, perfect. Let's stop
do it.
fucking
Let's do
around.
it.
Yeah, so she is hooked up to this. She goes through a bunch of memory trips. She mentions, like, my grandfather wanted me to take the nostalgia pills. And Lady Trieu says, well,
Like one pill at a time.
not all at once.
Yeah,
Not out of
overdose.
your mind. So she's, again, kind of moving around the facility, gets caught a couple times trying to get through the door that her tube is hooked up to. Lady Trieu then talks to her, and they go back and forth on things. Lady Trieu's daughter, Beyond, talks to
Creepy
Angela.
daughter.
Very creepy daughter.
Creepy.
Does some sort of like almost a Rorschach test with her.
Yeah.
Not exactly a Rorschach test, but definitely that's kind of what Lindelof's going for. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like a Rorschach test. Finds out that she has been living through very dark old memories from Vietnam. Again, that clues Angela. She's like, what the fuck's going on here? People are living through these memories. We'll get to the reveal here in a second there.
The daughter, to clarify, is living through these memories where she's an old
Yes.
woman in Vietnam and all that.
And so Angela, again, like, what is happening? She confronts Lady Trieu about that. We'll get to that reveal in a second. Let's put that one aside because I want to wrap up kind of the big Angela stuff. She breaks into the room while Lady Trieu is making her speech because the Millennium Clock Tower is about to turn on.
Yep.
I think the next couple episodes are going to be over the course of a few hours, by the way. It seems as
Yeah, I
though
was thinking the same
I
thing.
think so
it's
as
not
well.
going to be each day, yeah.
I
'Cause
think,
everything's-
what are there, 2 left after this?
Yeah.
Yep.
Most
So I
everything's
think
been
we're not going to
chronological.
figure out what the clock is for until the
No,
finale.
it's been on
And that's
until
what
the finale.
Lindelof said in the podcast, I
Okay.
believe. He said it won't be till the final episode.
Which I love. That's
Yeah,
perfect
it's awesome.
Watchmen
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Show us at the very
TikTok right into the end. Yes.
And so she breaks through into the door, and we see she's hooked up to an elephant.
end. What's going on here?
Elephants never forget, right?
Yeah, they have
That's
really good
the
memory.
They've got
Everyone
great
says
memory.
this.
Yeah, true.
Great memory. So I don't know. They haven't explained it, but like that was the first thing that clicked in my head. I'll tell you what. We're going to talk about Dr. Manhattan in a few minutes
Yep.
and how Reddit, the Watchmen Reddit, called this 2 weeks ago, and like with every crazy detail down to like how your knuckles look of the actor. It's insane. We'll get to that.
Wow.
Okay, we're going to put a lot of things on hold here, but the elephant thing clicked for me. Because elephants never forget great memories. I think that's the extent of it.
So I think that and the fact that they needed a lot of cerebral fluid to help wipe away all the nostalgia. And I mean, what bigger mammal can you get than a fucking elephant? So,
I think the elephant takes in the memories.
Yeah.
Like, so
a little bit of a swap.
my thing,
Interesting.
I actually fucking guessed it, and I felt so cool.
You knew an
because-
elephant was going to be behind that thing?
because not as much behind it as that's like part of the medical. That's how she's being like treated
Because of the logo?
The fucking logo. I love how she's hooked up to this thing, and Angela keeps going through these like relapses, right? Where she falls out of bed. She's like, "Where the fuck am I?" And Lady True's like, "I'm so sick of doing this. I have to keep explaining it to you." And she injects this thing into her, which gives her a tutorial, I think she says, or an explainer of what's going on. Like, hey, you took someone else's nostalgia pills, and the True logo pops up, and it's for the first time really big on screen, and it's a T, and it looks like tusks, and it looks like the trunk of an elephant. And I said, "Damn it, it's an elephant. Elephants, great memories."
Wow. I mean, I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that in a billion years. I've seen, obviously, since people have said, "Oh, look at the logo; it's an elephant after all." But no, when she broke through and there was an elephant in there, I was mind blown. I saw some tweet where they were like, they took the elephant budget away from Game of Thrones and gave it to Watchmen. That's why Cersei didn't have any in the last season.
Really awful door security, by the way. Very, it's like terrible.
She just broke the thing
right away. The Star Wars door security, which you can blast it to close it or open it.
I thought the same thing. Picked up one rock,
smash it with a rock, and it's done.
So that kind of wraps, for now, Angela's thing. Let's get to Lady True, because we're going to get to the really big Angela reveal at the end. We're going to try to go through the story, how it happens. Again, set to turn on the clock tower. There's a voice over the intercom, like 4 hours till the tower turns on. Get to your positions. The future thanks you.
Yep.
So obviously, we know this is going to be a big deal.
Some kind of time travel involved, possibly.
I don't know. But her daughter, we think it's her daughter, Beyond... is revealed to actually be her mother, which we kind of speculated a little.
Yeah.
We didn't think she was a clone.
Because the memories.
We knew that she was injecting her mother's memories, or at least her older memories, but it's her mother's memories from Vietnam, and it is a clone. Beyond is a clone of her mother growing up. She's been slowly putting the memories into her because she wants her there to see her life's work complete. That's what Lady True tells Angela.
And her father's there as well, she said.
She says that, which we'll get to. We have an audience question that will tie into this. She said, "Where's your father?" Angela asked her, because Angela's been grilling her, like, what are you doing to your daughter? Why are you fucking your daughter up like that? She's like, "It isn't my daughter. It's my mother." Which she says,
and she's so like,
she's like
casual about
as
it.
in a way, like, I knew you were gonna ask this shit, and I had an answer ready for you. That's basically what she did.
Yeah, she's like, listen, I want her to remember her life. That's all.
It sounded so matter of fact, like it wasn't a big deal or creepy at all. It's just
that's
like,
like
not a big deal.
Everything Lady True says. It's super creepy.
Very confidently saying she's gonna save the world.
Yes, exactly.
Very confidently.
I know you think I'm crazy, but that's
up
what
until the end of the episode is like, no, I am saving fucking humanity.
Yep.
So back to that part. Angela at the end finally, after she sees the elephant, rips out the thing, kind of runs away, and hits like floor 0, I think it is. And she walks through this tunnel, which looks like a lot like the tunnel from Rogue One, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
Speaking of Rogue One. Anyway, she goes through, and there's this globe. Beautiful shot, reflecting the floor.
Cool. Remind me of the orb.
This blue globe, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And she touches it. Angela touches it, and you realize that it's the reverse camera into the Dr. Manhattan booth. And then she clicks it again. And just in case you weren't sure, she clicks Tulsa, and there you see Laurie Blake. So then Lady True has found her, as expected. I was like, all right, when's she going to turn around and see Lady True there? And Lady True explains to her that she's set up these Dr. Manhattan booths and has a lot of disdain for Dr. Manhattan.
Yes.
Right? Like, he's not listening. Like, these are unanswered prayers.
Yeah.
And you can tell that's going to come back up.
I think that where we're going to end up with this series, not to get into predictions too early, but I think that she's going to want to destroy Dr. Manhattan. I think that Dr. Manhattan has something to do with like all the bad memories that her mom has that she's trying to install in Beyond. I think that what we're going to end up with is a kind of conflict between Lady True and Angela, because Lady True is going to want to destroy Dr. Manhattan for what she did in Vietnam.
Saving humanity is
stopping this guy who's capable of doing what he did in Vietnam.
I think you're probably on the right track there.
So she does have disdain. He doesn't listen. That's a great note. I think it's a perfect prediction.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that the 7th Cavalry, which at this point in the episode, I'm sure you know if you watched, this has already been revealed, but the 7th Cavalry wants to become him.
Yes.
We see that Laurie Blake...
We got to follow up on our guy Looking Glass.
Yeah, so Laurie Blake is outside Judd Crawford's house with his widow, which I do forget her name.
I forget too, the redhead.
I thought Peggy for some reason. I don't think that's right.
Peggy Crawford?
You're thinking Peggy Carter, maybe.
A little bit. Just a little
She's
bit.
outside the house. We get a radio call from Petey. Petey's at Looking Glass's house, and we see that Looking Glass has not a crazy prediction. I knew he was going to fucking kill all the 7th.
Capped him.
That's great.
Destroyed him. Except for the one guy. Who was the one guy, by the way?
One guy, and he's got no mask on, which we'll get to later because I saw some predictions about that already, and I think they're spot on.
So only one of the 7th Cavalry members has no Rorschach mask on. Petey notes that. Laurie then stops listening because she's just sick of Petey. And she's like, all right, whatever, I'll deal with this later. I got to talk to Judd's ex. She goes into this house with Judd Crawford's ex-wife. She's playing dumb, and Laurie just calls it all. Just like throws all the cards on the table. Like, I'd be a bad detective if I didn't think that your husband was somehow involved with Cyclops and the 7th Cavalry. And then Judd's widow just confesses everything. And Laurie's like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, boom, trapdoor. Laurie falls to the fucking
Who the fuck has a trapdoor? What a great line. What an awesome line.
It's also a very Joker blowing up the hospital moment where she's like clicking it over and over again, and then it kind of like falls for a sec. Laurie's like, what are you doing? And then it just falls all the way. That was great.
Laurie makes a note about like becoming president, and Judd's wife, or excuse me, Judd's widow says becoming president was small.
That was the original idea, yeah.
Small potatoes now, not as much. She gets on the phone like, should I kill her? Obviously, Laurie's not killed. We see later on in the mall, Laurie is captured with the 7th Cavalry.
Did you guys think that when she pressed the thing and it didn't work, that Laurie disabled it? I thought that.
Oh
for a
no,
second,
I didn't know what was. I mean, it was probably because I was so fucking tired. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, no, I did.
For a second, I was like, "Oh shit, she disabled."
I thought she was gonna say like, "You stupid fuck."
Yeah,
like,
you asshole.
'cause
You
she
thought
is
I
always
didn't
a step
predict this?
ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
She looked panicked though. She
Yeah.
played that well, where it was the first time in the series where I felt like she didn't know what to do.
Yep.
Until she's down in the mall, and then I'm like, "This is the so comedian right now." Her
Yes.
just nihilistic view of, "I don't give a shit. Don't
the
explain
way
your
she was
plan
like,
to me.
do not do the
Fuck
monologue.
You.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care."
Because again, Senator Keene walks out, explains the plan. She's like, "I don't give a fuck about your stupid
He's
plan."
fucking great.
That
by
guy,
the way,
he's Homelander evil.
really fucking good.
You really, that's a perfect analogy. He is Homelander evil.
So Senator Keene walks out. Again, wants to be more than president. Says it's a tough time to be a white man in America.
Yeah, and she's just like, "Oh my fuck."
The way he delivered that line was brilliant.
Well, you could tell he thought it was so serious
he's like,
and
it's gone too
authentic.
far. It's very hard to be a white man.
It's
in
very
America.
hard to be a white man in America.
He's
And
like,
Laurie's
I'm-
just like, "Oh Jesus,
I'm not racist. We're trying to put the world back in order."
So great.
And he says, "So I'm
The
gonna
scales
try,
have tipped."
I'm going to try to be a blue one." And that's when you're like glasses off, like,
Yeah, we were like,
"Are you fucking kidding
this
me?"
fucking guy.
Because I mean, they were throwing basketballs for this portal
I
a couple
know.
episodes ago, and he's actually going to try to become Dr. Manhattan, and that is their big, all-encompassing plan. Which again, I feel like we're like, you know, they can say like the machete way to watch Star Wars. We go back.
Yeah, that's
how we're trying to break this down.
Watchmen, yeah.
Pull it all the way back to the end now. That's again at the end with Lady True, where she says the 7th Cavalry is trying to become him. She's trying to stop that. What if I told you Dr. Manhattan was walking amongst us as a human in Tulsa? And Angela gives this reaction. This is kind of where it culminates.
Yeah.
She gives this reaction where my heart kind of like, it started beating really fast. I was like, oh shit. I was like, she didn't react to that all that weird. Like she
knew.
She's very cold-blooded and she's got a great poker face. But like, just like, damn, she knows. And she walks away and Lady True's like, excuse me. And you know Lady
don't you
True
wanna know?
Lady
True obviously
True
knows.
definitely knows.
Yeah.
I think she's just trying to like double confirm. She's like, I just told you that Dr. Manhattan walks amongst us in Tulsa, and you didn't say anything. And again, just leaves.
She's flexing on her. Lady
Big time.
True's like, listen, I know. Please say something. She doesn't.
Angela races home, talks to her husband, Cal. He's got a book on his chest, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Pretty fucking ominous. She talks to him. We mentioned actually, and I did skip over one important thing. We did get a little bit of a tease, and then this is the crash record. There was a crash again from PDpedia.
Okay,
the crash of Cal Abar, and how he had total amnesia. And Lady True's like, I study memories. That's not a thing.
Yep,
People
doesn't
don't
happen.
have total fucking amnesia. So she's very clued up on Cal.
Yes.
And this one says in here, like, they have no information. They have just a couple things like circumcision, birth. Pretty funny fucking reference there. We
Okay.
know what
Yep.
he's talking about. Big blue dick.
Yep.
Place of birth, Philadelphia. Calvin. And then it says here, also not his last name. Calvin Jelani is his last name. The notes from the medical report here, patient uncommonly passive and quiet, polite and composed, which is unusual for this type of patient, took great interest in my Dr. Manhattan bobblehead. Just again, another funny little note. She races home, talks to her husband, you're a great husband, love you, beats him in the fucking head with a hammer.
Immediately, when she pulled that hammer out,
I was like, oh,
it was like,
shit.
what is inside this guy? 'Cause
which, by the way,
clearly, she's going to pull something
The
out.
7th Cavalry clearly knows who it is, too,
Yeah.
because they're
Yes.
outside her house when she arrives home, beats the shit out of him, pulls out the fucking atomic structure of hydrogen, which is a Dr. Manhattan logo.
That's a symbol, yeah.
It glows blue, and you're just like,
Her whole
What?
face glows
Yep.
blue.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Her husband has been Dr. Manhattan this whole goddamn time.
Listen, what did I tell you guys about this
You
guy?
did. You said
I
something's
said
up
he's
with
a
him.
shady
You said
character. I
something up
said
with-
something's got to be up with him.
You called Senator
Turns out-
Keene. You called Cal Abar.
He's fucking Dr. Manhattan.
You know what sucks too is I think like 2 episodes ago we were talking just about like Dr. Manhattan in general, and I was thinking who on this cast is jacked enough to play him, and I'm like, Abdul Mateen kind of like he is, but like I don't see any situation where he is like Dr. Manhattan. So I was like, there's no way. Man, they fucking set this up.
I wish
beautifully.
I could take credit and be like, I knew he was Dr. Manhattan. This was pretty shocking to me. I said it to you before, but the more we were building up to this, the more obviously you start to do the usual suspects thing where you drop your fucking coffee mug and you're like, oh my God, wait a minute. But still, when she pulled that out of his forehead and her face starts glowing blue, I still couldn't believe it.
I was shocked when Senator Keene said he wants to become Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Even then, I was like,
Yes.
I go, where's he going to pop
Crazy
up this
plan.
episode?
Yeah.
So like but even in the beginning, like I said, I like was very tense in the beginning of the episode because you see Dr. Manhattan stuff. You're like, this is the episode.
Yeah.
And Lindelof said on Instagram, someone mentioned like, you're going to make its way to the last episode. He goes, well, that would be naturally cruel or something. So he teased like, I'm showing you very soon. Which
He's got to be loving the reception that this is all getting.
100%.
Just because he's like, I'm telling you, everything I'm telling you is coming true.
Yeah.
He's like the
And because
Dr.
no one
Manhattan
believes
of this universe. Yeah.
No, like you lost leftovers. Like you're just fucking with us. He's like, no, for once I'm not. Like I'm going to tell you basically
and
everything.
the more this series goes on, the more, and we've mentioned this in these videos before, it is a sequel to Watchmen. Like this, I think he might have said that in the build-up, but it
called it a
seemed
remix,
more,
right?
It seemed more like, oh, it was just happening in the Watchmen universe, kind of cool, a story that might not have a ton to do with the original comic storyline. No. This is like Watchmen 2. And I'm taking it that way as well. Like, as a guy that really enjoys the movie, as a guy that enjoyed the graphic novel, this is like the definitive sequel in my eyes.
Yep.
100%.
So, yeah, I mean, he's fucking Dr. Manhattan, and this has been teased on Reddit apparently for a while.
That makes me upset because I'm like, oh, damn,
We're going to credit the 2 main Reddit users, right? yeah, you were close. They got it. User K Sendor and Mir_pool kind of had the biggest stuff. The first one is the craziest one.
Yeah.
The blue dildo.
I read about this.
The name of the blue dildo is Excalibur, and that's what Laurie uses, which stands for X, my ex, Cal Abar. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't know how the fuck they put that together.
By the way, the next episode is called Dr. Manhattan Walks into a Bar.
I saw that, yeah.
That's insane. So
Or a god walks into a bar,
or
right?
God walks into a bar, yeah. Because the next episode teases Angela that's basically the only tease of the episode is Angela is
meeting him,
meeting
first
Dr.
time.
Manhattan and talking to him.
Oh, I didn't see that. Did we see like what he looks like?
No, you see his
He's
hands.
wearing a mask.
He's wearing a Dr. Manhattan mask.
And he takes it off at some point. I don't think she believes that's who it is.
Yeah,
until,
exactly. Yeah.
So, because there's some sort of Dr. Manhattan celebration.
Yeah.
That's where he is.
In Tulsa?
No, it's in Saigon.
In Saigon, yeah.
Oh, it's a flashback. Okay.
So, nutso. The dildo thing is the biggest tease, which is just, again, crazy. He
Insane,
just
and I
threw
don't
it out there.
understand how anyone would get that, but at the same time, if you were the one that came up with that reference to put it in the show, if you're Lindelof or one of the writers or whatever, you gotta feel amazing putting it there and just being like, that's my big blue dick on the table, you know? Like, Laurie's ex, Cal Abar.
And this has to explain a lot of like the animosity that sort of Angela's had for Laurie throughout this entire thing.
And the other way around, Laurie's attraction to Cal.
Yes.
Exactly. She's like, your
She's
husband's
the hot
hot as
for him,
hell.
yeah.
Wow.
She mentioned it a couple times, and she's talking about my ex, blah, blah, blah. All he wants to do is fucking talk about corks or whatever. And she said, well, he's no Cal.
Yep.
And you're like, okay. So Laurie either suspected it or knew, and Angela...
You think?
Or
I
just,
thought
like,
maybe it was just
subliminally,
some kind of subliminal. Yeah, she had some kind of attraction. Maybe you're right. Maybe
She
I
might
could
have
be completely
suspected
wrong.
it.
Yeah.
And Angela, I think, was skeptical, thinking that Laurie either knew or might find out because
Because even think about when the car came down, she really thought that was Dr. Manhattan.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
And she also questioned Cal himself when he had the one-on-one with Laurie at one point. She's like, did you tell about the accident? And he's like, no, it didn't come up. So he doesnry's know any of this. His memory's kind of wiped, which let's see, when did I say? We'll talk about it in a
It's
second.
not like she got home and was like, listen, we're in trouble. And he
We've
was
been
like,
found.
oh shit, all right,
He
I'm
has no
Dr.
idea.
Manhattan.
Yeah,
He's
understand-
clueless.
Did
Dr.
not understand
Manhattan.
what's happening.
Also
yeah.
disgusting. The scene where she takes
Crick
the thing
takes it out of his
her head.
skull. Yeah.
Disgusting.
He's Dr. Manhattan hidden inside a human living a different life, basically. And she talks about how, like, for them to be together, this had to happen.
Yes.
So we'll get the whole backstory.
I
on
hope
that.
the next episode is pretty much entirely the backstory of how that happened.
It looks like it will be.
And how the 7th Cavalry found out that he was actually Dr. Manhattan in the first place. And then the last episode give us the big culmination.
Yep. I think that's how it's going to line up.
Yeah.
So again, someone else mentioned that nuns are married to God. I don't know religion too well. Someone mentioned that kind
Sister
of funny.
Knight was a nun, yeah.
Sister Night, Nun, Married to God. Again, we mentioned The Attraction. Mad they talked alone, Angela was, and Laurie very interested. And then this was the craziest one. K Sendor, the user on Reddit, looked at a picture of Yahya Abdul-Mateen, his fucking knuckles, and then compared in the trailer, Dr. Manhattan putting his hand down to pick up
One of the masks.
the Dr. Manhattan masks, and compared a line on his knuckles, and I'm showing it on. I'm pointing to my knuckles if I'm not showing it on screen right now. Compared the knuckle pattern, and that's like this convinced me.
Insane.
Get this Reddit user on like CSI or something. Christ.
Yeah, we let's hope this guy's a Star Warrior. We want him on our side.
Big
Let's
time.
start breaking down Rise of Skywalker footage
100%.
right now.
Like, what the fuck? So apparently Reddit's been on this for a while. It was
This guy is
confirmed.
the real PDPD.
100%.
I know.
Yep,
Cal
yep, yep,
Abar
yep.
is Dr. Manhattan. As he dies, well, I guess Cal, who's like a human but not really. He's
I guess
life
not,
created by
yeah.
Dr. Manhattan. We think. I don't know.
Maybe.
But when was the
Maybe not.
crash? The crash happened in 2000. I don't know. It's tough to tell exactly. We don't know yet. We'll learn more. So it's not too much point of speculating.
It seems like Angela might have done something. She said like, "No, I created that, so you wouldn't know."
Yeah.
I think Angela did a lot of somehow conniving where she got him to do that himself.
And what was
I
the
don't know.
word that she says too? She says a phrase like "time to come out of the tunnel" or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Come out of the tunnel. She says.
But Life on Mars, an instrumental Life on Mars by David Bowie
awesome.
played.
So good.
Awesome cover.
Another perfect like.
Music
oh
has
my
been
goodness.
possibly, it was like a Trent Reznor involved. Music's been possibly
Trent
the
Reznor,
greatest part of
yeah,
this
the
show.
score,
Oh, it's been amazing. Yeah.
And then quickly, Adrian Veidt. We don't know a ton here. It's tough to kind of speculate. I saw one recap. People were like, "This is the weirdest one yet." I think it is.
It was the weirdest
He goes
one,
on trial. We saw the squid painting. He goes on trial. The game warden has been confirmed to be just one of the clones with a fucking stash. You mentioned that last episode. He farts, which we just watched The Lighthouse. There's a lot of farting.
A lot of
in the movie
farting.
The Lighthouse.
Oh, really?
A lot
He
of
farts
farting.
in this. Farting is back.
Shits out of his doo-doo ass.
Farting is back. He doesn't give a shit about the trial. He's very dejected and just doesn't care anymore.
There's a shot from behind him, where it's pushing in on him, and the cape is like perfectly draped
Oh, it
down.
looks
He's
so
sitting
cool,
in the chair.
doesn't it?
Might have been my favorite shot in the whole show.
so cool. The
It
whole
was
armor.
awesome, and how vibrant the purple is and all that. Like, it was really fucking good. The fart was weird. Speaking of farting, you guys ever see Swiss Army Man?
Yeah.
what a weird
Radcliffe
movie.
and Dano, man. Dano's gonna be our new
I really
Riddler,
didn't
right?
like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that choice, but a weird movie.
So then the game warden's like, "You're not his peers because the
Your created life, you're not really technically his peers.
who
Like, right?
I'm not a big fucking law guy. Who would have been the prosecutor went up and
Yeah.
made a statement, and it's Crookshanks,
One of the clones,
right?
yep. Mhm.
Yep.
And yells at him and like, "You fucking
Pretty good statement.
Yeah, you throw us into the
Very
abyss.
dramatic.
You
Yeah.
kill us all." She does wink at him at one point.
That's what I was saying. She
That's
winks at the end. Yeah.
That's the only big hint. You're like,
ding.
"What's that wink?" And then he says, "You're not his peers. Like, this guy's a piece of shit." Was bringing his peers, brings in pigs. They say, "You're guilty," and he does shed a tear.
Yep.
And then it goes from the tear right to a statue, which we'll get to in
And
audience.
it was his 365th day on trial. They
Yep.
He hadn't,
It's a
he
1 year
hadn't
on trial.
said anything.
Yep.
Hadn't defended himself
Yeah.
until then. I guess there seems to be inevitable.
Yeah.
Okay, audience questions. This is from @Twitter user Samer is my namer. Funny, good rhyme. Is Ozymandias Lady True's father? I think we're down to a point where her father is three people. It's either
break him down.
It's either Dr. Manhattan, which I don't think it is.
No.
Nope, I don't think so
it
either.
is. The comedian, which we did read that thing. We read that questionnaire with Lady True's company. Like, is the comedian her father? He seemed to have probably impregnated many people in Vietnam back in the day. I still think that one makes the most sense. However, the theory that's hot in the streets is Adrian Veidt is her father. And that when he was spelling out on Europa, it was "Save Me, Daughter." We saw
Yeah.
"Save Me, D," "Save Me, Daughter."
That'd be a long ass thing to write on the moon. A long word.
Huge, incredibly long. Another thing, though, if anyone can save him from Europa, this
It would be Lady
insane,
True, yeah.
it's Lady True
The
with
trillionaire.
the technology she has.
And
Also,
they talked about the rockets too, and
they talk about the rockets, and when you read the PDpedia thing about maybe her company was addressing the fact that there's rumors that the comedian is her father. Maybe that's trying to lead people like us off the trail.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we're paying attention
She
to the
planted the
comedian.
story.
It's vital along.
She owns the media. Maybe she's the one who planted
Yep.
that story in the first place.
Other theories seem to suggest that Dr. Manhattan, when he tries to reset his life, when he tries to either wipe his memory and reset, I've seen people say like maybe he's reached his end with humanity, like he's lonely, he's sad, which I think was mentioned maybe at some point in this or in the graphic novel,
Okay.
that he's very sad and lonely, like he's like, I need to
yeah.
reset, that he tosses Adrian Veidt up there. Like, get the fuck out of here. I can't trust you if I reset my being myself.
So he's like, I got to get this guy as far away as possible.
Because I feel like last night, in some ways, made it seem like Dr. Manhattan is not responsible for putting Veidt up there, but in other ways, he might be.
Yeah, the more and more we go on with the Veidt storyline, the more and more. Like, in the beginning, I was, oh, yeah, he's definitely with Dr. Manhattan. Now I'm like, no, I don't think so.
Because it seems as though 6 episodes, because it does say the date of Calvin Jelani, his crash is 2009. So if that's when Dr. Manhattan resets and takes form of someone else, because apparently there's like a gash in his head and it seems to be no longer visible. That's what they say in this police report. Maybe that's 2009 and Veidt seems to be up there for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Maybe that's 2009 when he throws him up there.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. We might have figured something out
disappeared,
there.
yeah.
As if
Possibly.
Reddit hasn't already figured it out.
Yeah, I know. Reddit's like, no, you haven't seen his fucking
looking at the
knuckles,
police
dude.
report of Cal Abar, again, at the time Calvin Jelani's crash, maybe he didn't create Cal, he just overtook this person's body.
Yeah.
Might have been that. Might have been the case. And then someone also said, at Improper Colby said, I think Ozymandias is in the statue. They think potentially that statue
They have
of
done this a
Adrian
lot.
Veidt, they've shown that statue many times.
And they did the shot in this episode where it went right from him, and then it kind of just
Transitioned
like,
into the
blurred
statue,
into,
yeah.
Someone say he could be in there, and we do mention that Lady True says, my father will be here soon.
Yes.
Maybe he's like frozen in carbonite in the statue.
Yeah, she's like waiting for the
shit,
moment.
yeah, maybe,
waiting
yeah.
for the moment to like happen.
Unfreeze him, yeah.
I could see that. So the comedian one I think is the most intriguing idea to me because it ties in like as like the nerdy, like, yes, Easter egg.
True.
But the Ozymandias one, maybe for the storyline, is the most intriguing.
It would make more sense, I think.
Because then it's Ozymandias and Lady True trying to take down Dr. Manhattan.
I was going to say, especially if she wants to take down Dr. Manhattan.
And especially considering she's like a mega genius that like was like making rockets when she was 30 years old and like already the biggest like innovator in all of medical
the
technology.
transition of the
23.
company was so easy, right?
Yeah,
And buying
exactly,
the company.
yeah. Yep.
At teaching_KC, how did 7th Cavalry figure out Dr. Manhattan? Again, I think it's going to be explained.
Did you notice that when they show the 7th Cavalry scene, they're like showing all like the boxes and shit? I thought it looked like Lady True Tech. They had the True Tech.
They did.
Yeah.
They had Lady True
I did
Tech.
not notice that.
It was the True logo. The True Tech.
True
was
logo
there
and all
with-
their shit. Yeah.
with where they want to try to create. So I don't know if she's in. Maybe the twist that would make complete sense, but also be shocking, would be if like Lady True's still in cahoots with 7th Cavalry.
That's why I think that she's actually working with 7th Cavalry to kill Dr. Manhattan. Because again, I still
shit.
think that's going to be a big part of this. Is her
or
wanting to
like
kill him.
she's planted her tech with them, and it will. I don't know, like
Because like at the end of the day, why would she really give a shit about it?
because it was True Tech with the 7th Cavalry. Maybe
Yeah.
it's stolen. I don't know.
And I did see somebody on Reddit have the theory that one of the 7th Cavalry members in Looking Glass's house doesn't have the Rorschach mask on because after he killed all of them, he pulled it off and he's at the JCPenney.
So that
with
was.
Laurie.
I was going to
Guys,
mention
yeah.
what happens next. I think he's just now Rorschach, which he was basically Rorschach the whole
shit.
episode.
More or
Damn,
less,
you're
yeah.
right.
Looking
Now
Glass
he's
just
wearing the
becomes
literal
Rorschach.
Rorschach
Wearing the mask and everything,
Oh,
yeah.
God,
Yeah.
Jeff, that's good stuff.
Like
That's good
that I
stuff.
love. Like he's going to be there to save her as
In the
Rorschach.
Rorschach mask. Oh, that'd be
Gonna
good.
get blown up again.
That'd be good.
She might just fucking become Silk Spectre again. Who knows? Silk Spectre.
Wow.
I don't know. She's got.
Two generations
Yep.
of heroes,
Yep.
two generations of
generations, yeah.
Watchmen.
But to the point of how 7th Cavalry figured out, we don't know. But I will say again, this report of the crash. I mean, this is medical
That's
documents.
gotta be the
These
most
are-
we know.
These are like legal documents, and I imagine that the government got these pretty fucking easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we can read the tea leaves here, that this makes sense, that something's up with this crash.
Yeah.
And how this guy just healed and doesn't remember anything.
I'm sure a senator
Senator
could
can
get
get
someone
his hands
to,
on
So I think that
yeah.
would make sense. At Bucks Dragon 9, does Dr. Manhattan hang dong next episode?
He better.
I think they
We
should.
better see the
They
big
should
better.
show some
Show me that dick.
Because this is going to be a little bit about him and Angela's relationship.
Let's
I'm
see
sure
it.
we're going to
Whip
get
it
a
out.
little bit of blue dong.
What happens next? I have no idea.
Who knows?
That's my one prediction,
think,
though.
Yeah, I think
With Rorschach and Looking Glass.
That's brilliant. I think we go back, we find out how they found out, how the 7th Cavalry found out about Dr. Manhattan, how Dr. Manhattan and Angela got together in the first place, and then the last episode will figure things out. Now, do you think we're going to get a payoff to that whole Superman thing where the baby came down, or do you think that's
Yes.
just...
Yeah, for
okay.
sure.
So I think how does Veight's storyline end? I think
Yeah.
we're going to see the next step. I think we now see where he is currently. I think we catch
Do you think
up.
we get that in the next episode?
I think we converge
Yeah.
on Veight's storyline at the end of the next episode. Why does Dr. Manhattan wipe clean and start over? I think
I have
again
an
it comes.
idea
What you think? You think it's because he just wanted?
I think so. I think so much this show so far has to do with just genetically passed on trauma. I think that the kids that Angela adopted are people who were affected by Dr. Manhattan's actions in Vietnam, and I think that maybe this is going to be part of their storyline when they meet back in Saigon. He's going to be like, these kids, let's say, were second generation orphaned by your actions, like what you did in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to make this right. I want to start over. I want to raise these kids as my own.
He's building
and
that
help.
castle, the same castle Dr. Manhattan built on.
I know that's another
Mars.
that throws me for a loop still.
He
'cause
destroyed
I'm
the
like,
castle. And
when was that? When was he on
I
Mars?
also read
When
that
was he-
someone said Lady True doctored the footage of Dr. Manhattan to get people. I don't. That's up in the air.
that also makes sense to me.
What's up the clock tower? No idea.
Absolutely no idea. Like we mentioned a little earlier.
Could it have the
I
mind
could see
control tech?
maybe time travel's involved. Yeah, I could definitely see
Mind
the
control
mind
tech
control.
in there.
Mesmerization.
She's trying to save
If
the
it
universe.
just does like massive strobe lights, like global strobe lights.
Where is Will Reeves? I feel like he's just somewhere else in the facility. Like I don't think that's too crazy.
I think we got most of what we needed from him.
But otherwise, my only actual prediction is I think Rorschach. We find out just Looking Glasses assumed the role of Rorschach because he was the Rorschach character
I wouldn't hate if
for a lot of it.
you know he at the end
The
of
fucking
this
beans.
the end of this entire series he comes out and says everything that Senator Keene said. He publishes some way.
Yeah.
You know, the opposite of Rorschach, where he sent it into that right-wing newspaper or whatever. If they redo that and it's Looking Glass sending it into a regular newspaper.
But he doesn't get blown up this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't get killed. Yeah.
Doesn't get destroyed.
But it looks like, again, if you haven't seen the tease end of the episode, you can look it up on YouTube. I think we just played some clips here. We see that it's going to be a mix of the assault from the 7th Cavalry on Angela and Cal's house. So basically on Angela and Dr. Manhattan, which is nuts to say that we're about to fucking
Very
get
stupid,
that.
by the way.
Or we don't know if
Just
it
gonna
is
say that.
Dr. Manhattan because she has the little fucking molecule-looking logo thing. We don't know if he's formed into Dr. Manhattan yet. So
And you
we
see
don't
him
know
like
that.
you see her like shooting them too. I'm assuming if like Dr. Manhattan's fully formed and ready to go, you don't need to
probably
go.
don't need to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we do see that it's that interspliced with flashbacks to her meeting him. So a lot ahead. Wild. One of the most insane episodes of TV I've ever seen.
yeah.
It's fucking so cool. This show.
They're bowling a perfect game right now.
They keep doing these scenes where like they'll start doing an explanation for like 5 minutes at a time, and you're like, keep going, keep explaining stuff,
I know.
keep explaining stuff, and then
Yeah.
they stop, and you're like, fuck, no, keep going, keep
Yes.
telling us more, and they just raise more questions which you want answers to.
I don't even fucking know. I don't know how this gets better each week. I don't know how it
That
does.
felt great and dramatic.
We will have another one of these next week. I'm so bad with dates. I'm going to say the 9th, I think. The day after the next episode airs, episode
Next
8.
Monday.
2 episodes left. We'll have another one dropping this upcoming Friday, another recap recap breakdown Easter egg hunt for The Mandalorian, the 5th episode. I think that's it. I mean, let us know below.
Can't wait.
What do you think is happening? What's next? Dr. Manhattan, who's Lady True's father? Give us your thoughts and theories. That's what you got to comment below. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, the bell icons, you know when we drop these. KenJac, Robbie, I'm Jeff Lowe. We'll try to answer next time what the hell's happening to Watchmen.